To me, this is just, again, my effort is into telling Charlotte's story. And that's anytime I lose like where my direction or anything like that, or want to do something new, I'm like, is this an effort to tell Charlotte's story? And my mother's a flight attendant. I've been flying for free around the world since I was 24, until I was 24 years old. So I got free flights. So it was like $300 round trip to Dubai. Free. When I say free, like I could get up, like every weekend I was gone. I would go down to New York and pass out business cards and just go to Soho and just put stickers up. And, you know, what I would do with clothing is like, I would release a collection, and like De Niro, for instance, like how I would release a collection, and I would say, yo, De Niro, let's shoot the lookbook for this new clothing as your music video, and I'll pay for it. We'll go somewhere dope. We had done like Toronto, we had done LA, and like we would shoot his music video as a lookbook, and he would get a lot of blog traction, and people would see it. Like it would be put out in the press release that it was a part of the lookbook. So that's how we gained like national notoriety at one point with the brand. And he had more. It was funny because we always had the local draw, and he always had a national draw. So people knew De Niro from Charlotte, but musically, like we used to do his tour merch. Like when we would go to Toronto and Canada and like these really obscure places, like he would have full blown rooms of fans, and I'd be like, yo. But when we book him in Charlotte, people would respect and know, but it's like, you don't respect it because it's from there. So it was a really weird relationship, and he had the digital notoriety, like or not notoriety, but just like being known with the blogs and all that stuff. And that's just how we used to do it. But through doing all that, whenever I would shoot a, I think that's y'all. Whenever we would shoot a lookbook, if it wasn't with him, we would connect with a local artist in a different city and do the same thing. Shoot a video, highlight their art, and squeeze the clothing in there. And through that, like I connected with a lot of local cultures, like in a lot of different cities, and saw like the struggles and just what everybody had going on. And Charlotte's the best city in the world to me. My conclusion is that Charlotte is the best city in the world. I'm like, there is nowhere else that has the opportunity that Charlotte has. Like I can go there and I can do their thing. But if they come here, they can't. That's a huge opportunity. That's a massive opportunity to be able to build something and say, you know what, we're going to be the thing that gets done when you come here. We still have the opportunity. We hope that if somebody sees somebody in a Family Matters shirt, they think Charlotte. You know, when people hear DaBaby, they should think Charlotte. Like, we are at our first time having a mega superstar, like number one. With DaBaby, it's like New York, come on, mega superstar. You could walk down to, you get what I'm saying, to walk down the street and you see a mega superstar. So I just feel like there's a huge opportunity in Charlotte, and I just appreciate the contribution that y'all have done for Charlotte and what No Grease has created in terms of the economic impact and the cultural impact of the city. And just have an immense respect for y'all and the tenacity that it takes to just build something average, but to build something great and to really do something different and to create something that can be duplicated. All those things that are marks of a great business. Like, I just commend and acknowledge y'all and thank you for being a part of what we've created here at Family Matters, as well as what the city has created, and being one of those staple pieces. I just appreciate y'all and thank you for doing that.
Charlotte's been a great experience, man. Being a part of this movement that's here. And I was just having a conversation with somebody not too long ago talking about the identity of Charlotte. It still hasn't really been clarified to the world. So to be a part of that beginning as we start to shape the identity of Charlotte is a huge opportunity. So we feel real good about it.
Yes, sir. There's erasure is a big issue. Mainly, to me, Charlotte's a black city. To me, I believe Charlotte's a black city. Like, I believe that the culture, I believe that the history, I believe that the infrastructure, the economic, all of it has stemmed and been sprouted from some sort of black culture somewhere. And erasure is the city in the world erasing what's happening in the past. Like, some cities, the reason that I continue to be so attracted to Charlotte is just because, again, I'm born and raised, but like from a standpoint of the history wasn't erased that long ago. We're still close to it. New York, it's Boston, like these different cities, like, things have been erased and millions and bazillions of dollars have been built on top of what's already been created. Charlotte is just 1 or 2 layers deep. We don't have to dig that deep to say, hold on, wait a minute, what happened here? And that's another reason why I'm like, all progress isn't good progress either.
Yeah.
I don't want Charlotte to just be some big city.
Yeah.
We're the Charlotte observers.
Right. That's right.
We observe.
That's-
Charlotte is just an observing ass city. Like we look and we'll take from these other cultures, but like Charlotte is an observing city, and I think that's a value of the city that we can look and we can see and we can take from what worked and what didn't work. There's only like 4,000 people in Charlotte without a home. Like that's not a lot. That's not that many people. If we could get 4,000 people to match their mortgage or whatever the hell, I don't know. But there's like the problems that we have here, although they speak to the bigger problems nationwide, I just think that it's a lot easier for us to tackle them, and it gives me more hope.
Yeah.
Because I think that Charlotte has an opportunity as a city to get it right. It'd be something that is an opportunity zone for everybody. Yeah. Tell me, what led y'all to this point? Like, why barbershops? Why a barber school? Like, what happened? What was the day where you're like, I'm going to do this?
So our story is our mother was a stylist.
Okay.
She was a nurse turned stylist in the 80s. And so we're teenagers in the 80s.
Okay.
And so when she decided to stop cutting our hair, she gave us clippers and we started cutting each other's hair. And this is us in the 8th and 9th grade. And it became an outlet. We are from, in that era, we're from the people are about to cut the jerry curls out their hair.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so we were the barbers cutting the jerry curls out of
Nice.
people's hair. And then that translated into really just camaraderie of cutting hair in the basement, cutting hair in the attic, in my mother's kitchen, all through high school. And then it was college time. And in Buffalo, colleges, it's a thing, but it's not a thing. It's not a thing in cities like Buffalo. So what happened was Damien was gun-ho on going to a black college.
Okay.
And
John C. Smith. I got accepted to John C. Smith in 1991, came down here, and it felt like I had, now that I've been to Africa, it felt like I had went to Africa. And so I'm having this amazing experience at Johnson C. Smith. I'm a barber. I'm cutting hair. I'm cutting all the students. I'm cutting staff. I'm cutting everybody's hair.
Wow.
And now my wheels are turning about how we can grow what we had been doing as young 11, 12-year-olds. And I'm seeing it from a broader space now because I'm cutting people from all over the world.
Wow.
They're getting their hair cut and we're having conversations, and I'm saying how they're being drawn to this talent that I have. And I'll call my brother and say, yo, I think we could really do this on another level. And but I think you need to move to Charlotte. I don't think we could start it in Buffalo. I think we need to start it here in Charlotte. And so now our wheels are turning. I'm at Smith. Jay decides to drop out of college
Oh, wow.
and go barbering full time.
Nice.
yeah.
So I'm motivated. I'm damn near wanting to drop out of college because he's getting his own apartment. He's making money. He's buying cars. I'm like, oh, what is going on? But I sat still and I was taking in the information and knowledge. He was visiting me so much, coming to John C. Smith homecomings. And so he's having an experience with me. And then I get into a local barbershop. I got in a few, but the one that really started to groom me was Gordon's Barbershop.
Okay.
And it was on Central Avenue.
Okay.
Right there at Central and Pecan.
It's the fuel station now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
The fuel station now.
The fuel pizza.
Yeah,
Fuel
fuel
Pizza.
Okay. Yeah.
Right
Okay.
there on Pecan.
Wow. Wow.
It used to be a barbershop.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it wasn't central as we know it today.
Not at all, I'm
So
sure.
we're in the midst of the jungle.
Right.
And I'm cutting hair, but I'm doing well. And I'm a part of what Mr. Gordon has going on and helping him build his business. And at the same time, we still working in our mind how we wanted to approach our business. So we helped him build his business. He ended up opening up another shop right down the street, a couple of buildings down. And so now it's 94, 95.
Yeah, 94. Yeah.
And I'm about to graduate from college. And my brother moves down to work with me at Gordon's Barbershop. The whole plan still was to start here in Charlotte, no grease. And we just started working our plan, man. Mr. Gordon was a big help finding our way. He got us into real estate. So we were buying houses and flipping houses, and so when it was time for us to really execute on our plan to open up our shop, we took money out of one of our houses and we opened up No Grease on Shane Amity.
That's fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fire. Where's Mr. Gordon today?
Man, it's crazy. He just visited the barber school and
Yesterday.
just yesterday.
Yesterday he was
So
at the
he's
school.
doing well, man. He still has one of his shops. His son's run. He owns a
Car dealership.
A car dealership. So
Nice. He's good.
Yeah, he's
That's
good.
what's up, man. That's what's up. So yeah, real estate is definitely a common denominator, and I feel like a lot of success stories. My wife made me get my license during COVID.
Good.
She heard me talking on the phone with a customer for 40 minutes about a shirt, like a single shirt, and I was like, after I was exhausted, I was like, man, this customer. She's like, how much was that order? I was like, $38. You get she's like, you need to be selling houses. Like, I don't give a fraction of that to my customers, and I'm making $10,000 a deal. So I'm like, all right.
Smart woman.
Yeah, she's super smart. No, that's epic story, Mr. Gordon, I'm sure. And I think of everything in T-shirts, so we're gonna have plenty to cook up after this.
Yeah.
So how did I can see from a business level how the barber school can be a natural progression of having multiple barbershops. At what point did you guys know that was a necessity? Did that did that fall in your lap? How did it happen?
Yeah, it was forced on our plate because of the two, I was the first to get the instructor license.
Okay.
And so once he got his instructor license, we both had our instructor license, and we started volunteering at other barber schools because we wanted to be in front of the talent. And the school owners, they just felt they didn't need our free services, and they said that they couldn't pay us and things like that. And we said, I guess we'll have to open up a school because we want to be in front of the talent. So we wanted to be in front of the talent, and we wanted to work through other schools if it was possible. But it was timing. It was just bad timing. And it left an opportunity for us to open up a school. And open up a school, when you're working in any trade, so traditionally in most trades, you have an apprenticeship, a journeyman, that type of thing. And so you always going to need somebody to be pouring into. We were having that at our shops before we opened up the school. It just felt like we was putting too much work onto other people's projects. So it's like they graduated from another school, and then they would come to our shop, and we had to retrain them. So it was mainly on just the basics. It wasn't necessarily just cutting hair. It was just basic man stuff, just accountability things, that just basic 101 money things. It's not for a barber school to really deal with that, but from a community standpoint and from a specific trade standpoint, when you're dealing with predominantly black and brown people in the hair business, we already understand that it's a lot of absent fathers in these communities. And so when they go to these schools, just getting a trade is not enough. They need some basics and
Life skills.
Yeah, we added that experience really organically. It's not like we got it in our curriculum. We're going to try to be a man one-on-one. We didn't do that, just organically, because we know that's a need for these young people and some older people too. It just became a part of our program, and it drove us to say, okay, now we got all this talent. We need to open up more shops. Yeah.
That's fire.
Yeah.
How many students do you got since inception?
Yeah, so we're way beyond 1,000.
Wow.
So way beyond 1,000.
Wow.
And when you take that number and you look at it realistically, maybe about 65-70% are still in the industry.
Wow.
Because we just like any other college.
Right,
Somebody
right.
go to school for nursing and they become a bus driver.
Exactly.
You know how they go.
Or De Niro, he cut hair. Is like, I'm going to cut hair and just have another weapon on my belt. It's
and
okay.
That was an interesting experience with, because De Niro was in between his thinking about his career.
Right.
And he wanted to really actually be inspired. So he came and became a part of the barber program at our school, and we inspired each other. De Niro inspired us. We inspired him. And, yeah, he cut some hair and all that stuff right there, but at the end, he went back to what he loved. He loved his music.
Exactly.
It was just a great relationship to have with a guy like that. And so that was like a real genuine experience, that he had a landing spot to come find himself. Now, it was a safe space. Ironically, the barber school was a safe space for him. And he found that he really does love music, and he had to be around somebody else that loved something just as much as he loved music.
100%.
And we loved barbering and the culture so much, it inspired him to get back into it. And so I love that story.
Wow.
With De Niro,
Wow.
Yeah, that's my brother right there.
Yeah. No, I hear that. I hear a lot of alignment there. Just like me and him have always been in two different lanes, but I can see that, and it's always helped me. I say to this day, he's the best performer that I know. When it comes down to, if I were to put somebody in a room with people that didn't know the artist and they had to leave a fan, he's the person that I would put on stage. And like people, even when we used to do shows, like y'all sponsored a couple of our shows, like when we used to do shows, people would get tired of me having De Niro as a headliner, and I'm like, look, like he's who's better? I want a good show. I want to sell tickets, but at the end of the day, there needs to be a moment of the show where people are like, damn, that was good.
Yeah.
And it's tough providing a platform for people that haven't invested in the skill but want the platform. It's just, look, like, I don't mind providing a platform, but you got to invest in your skill.
Yeah.
You got to have breath control. You got to be in the gym. You got to be able to really put on a good show.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing. And the concept of having a safe place and a safe spot to land and just an outlet is a huge part of my respect for y'all, and what I've seen as just a human in Charlotte as a reality is that y'all are consistently creating spaces, and with Sean at Lucky Spot and Evan at Touch of Precision, these are people who are on their way to build an empire of their own, and are a byproduct of an already existing empire. Come on, that stuff doesn't, I get geeky about that stuff because it shows me like that doing good can change the world. Good business can change the world.
Yeah.
Like, really, if you run a good organization, a good business, something that puts value out there to the people, it can have a huge dramatic effect on the globe. And I just, again, acknowledge y'all for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Of
absolutely.
course. What did No Grease, at what point, what was the decision process? What was the creative process of the name No Grease?
Yeah, I'll start with the name because I think it's still a little gray area who came up with the name.
So hold on, Dane. Before we even talk, when we were right there in our senior year of high school, actually, there was another brand that I toyed with called Blackness.
Yeah, I remember the clothing brand. Yeah, I've seen some of the pictures.
So Blackness was like it was supposed to be this deep thinking brand that brought awareness to black culture. Blackness was the first, and I remember drawing the blackface character that we use now for No Grease. So I drew that at the same time I was toying with Blackness.
Yeah.
And I had, in my 1 year of college, I took a black theater course, and that's what exposed me to the minstrel show.
Wow.
Yeah. So I got exposed to the minstrel show and was very just smitten, if that's a word that they use these days. I was smitten by the minstrel experience in America.
Wow.
And so while he was having the black experience at John C. Smith, I dropped out, and Blackness is something that I had started pushing these little T-shirts out, and I would send Dame. I sent you some Blackness T-shirts. And I came to John C. Smith homecoming with these "Kiss Me I'm Black" T-shirts, right? Kiss Me I'm Black. So not Kiss Me I'm Irish, not Kiss Me I'm Jewish. It was Kiss Me I'm Black, and it was called Blackness. It was just that simple. I didn't have no real art with it. It was just words. Kiss Me I'm Black. Blackness.
I love it.
And the logo was always in the background. I didn't know how I was going to use it, this, that, and the other. And then, so you got to remember, we still coming out. That's the early 90s. So cats still wearing heavy grease in their hair. The big thing about a barber is not having any grease in your hair when you get a haircut. So we would say no grease in your hair before you get a haircut. And it was like catchy. And so everybody understood no grease. Like no grease. And it sound powerful too when you hear it, no grease. And so we was dealing with that. I heard it one time. I said, you know what? We should name the barbershop No Grease. That's how he remembers it.
That's how I remember it. I said we should name the barbershop No Grease because he already had this logo. And then the minstrel, the whole everything, we knew the images that we wanted to portray. We wanted to really not just be a barbershop. We wanted to be something that was more powerful for the culture.
Yeah.
Hip hop is in our head. A lot of stuff is going on.
Yeah, the font, even the No Grease font is a graffiti font.
Yeah,
so I drew that in just graffiti form, and then it starts to it cleaned up over the years. It was just graffiti.
Nice.
So it was graffiti. It's a minstrel. It's hip hop. It's all that stuff right there, and that was it. Once we actually saw it on paper. And all the other names that we had, which I don't remember them all, but they were some corny names. Too many syllables, all that stuff right there, and then. The No Grease popped. It just popped.
That's fire.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that from the creative process, like I got all different types of brands that'll come in, and some people are dead set on their name. Some people have no idea that their name, what they want it to be. And it's just always fun to see that origin story of where did it come from, and it's like just plucking you don't have to you can't always just make a title or just create this is going to be a company name. It's a lot of times just identifying what's going on, pulling different things from the world, and that's powerful. So that the name and the logo, I think that it's, you guys have talked about it being like a talking point. What is the points that you want to talk about when people see that logo and when they ask and when they see, and what is it that the reaction you want? What do you want people to say or feel?
it's evolved so much over the 25 years, but the talking points are still pretty much the same. It's about imagery, you know, being confident and sure of who you are at all times, letting no one dictate or control your image, your presence, your outer being, and that all comes within.
Yeah.
And for so long, people, I think, especially people of color, have allowed people to control their images, and we have to take that back. Control your image at all times. We look at ourselves as a art piece. You are a living art piece that the world unfortunately will criticize, but at the same time, that's their perspective. That shouldn't change how you feel and how you present yourself.
Yeah, and also it's the unmasking, right? So it's the masking. In America, especially for people of color, we've always had to mask who we. The minstrel show was about a masking, right? Because this is theater. This is American theater in the early 1800s, where the characters were that of people of color, but being performed by white people. So the white people were masking themselves simply because they had similar talents as people of color. They could dance, they could sing, they told comedy, but they told it in black dialect. So they were performing as black people. They're masking themselves. So it's almost like a wink to our culture from white people. We are insulted that we couldn't do it. So eventually in this particular theater, people of color had an opportunity to perform on stages in front of white people, but they had to black up. They had to put the makeup on because they didn't want the audience to know that the performers were black. So they put on black makeup to perform as black people, and they're black. And so it's the unmasking that we always wanted to be. We always wanted to be ourselves, unapologetic, right? And No Grease has always been that. That's the conversation. Now, here's the best thing about it. When we came to Charlotte, and this ideal is basically, I don't even know where the ideal is really coming from, but the energy is not a southern energy. It's a northern energy.
It's a city energy.
Yeah.
Small city, but we're city folk. At the end of the day, we are city folk.
And so some of the first people that identified the character as a minstrel, they were offended. Oh my goodness, they were offended. And it was mostly black people. They were offended by the minstrel, and they said, why would you guys, they would say this, y'all have such a great business. Why would you identify with a minstrel? I said, most of the minstrel were great men. Why wouldn't I want to identify with a minstrel? And that blackface isn't me. That's not who I am. And so it's always been that, man. It's been a great time just playing around with it and having conversations with it, man. It's just been beautiful for me. Anyhow, as an artist, it's been beautiful.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, these are the things that gives me goosebumps, and it's why I decided to do this in the first place, is because I and my team and the world, just these stories just need to continue to be told, because what you're pointing to is a representation of how the world is right now. And like the whole world wants to be black. The whole world wants to tap into black culture. And there, even like within the black community, there's no monolith. Everybody's got a different opinion of how things can go, which to me is beautiful, but also stressful. And then especially considering the powers that be in America. And I don't think that people understand, obviously people understand the barbaric nature of racism. Like, it's now that we're like an intellectual society, people are like, he's black, there's no problem there. And we're not saying that there is, but somebody said that there was. And most of the society is built off of the fact that somebody said that there was. We obviously know that there isn't, and that's where like it's like this twilight zone of, are y'all confused? Obviously it's a barbaric idea, and the whole construct that created was stemmed from barbarianism. So it's just a very difficult conversation to have, and I love that y'all are consistently having that conversation in your daily existence with what you put out there consistently, because I've even seen comments on the work we've done together, like, that's dope, but why this logo? And it's like, you gotta watch their videos, like what I'll say. You gotta watch the reason.
But it's the thing that we all go through. Like, they say, oh well, Samir's dope, but why your name Samir?
Or why Family Matters? What's Family Matters? I'm like,
it's dope, but why you wearing that shirt? People always want you to be something other than who you are.
100%.
So if you play into that, you're gonna find yourself always defending. And when you realize that's not your problem, that's yours. You have to deal with that. Usually, people are dealing with something within themselves, and you're just a reflection that they haven't dealt with. They haven't dealt with something within themselves.
Wow.
So it's a beautiful thing, and it's so fluid, man. No Grease is fluid. And our blackness is fluid. It moves, it shapes, it changes. It's a beautiful thing, man, when you accept it.
Wow, that's epic.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the art, because you said this is art. I feel like an artist in doing business. I can't necessarily draw
Absolutely.
for anything, but I do believe that business is art. And Damien, I don't know about your artistic abilities outside of like business. I know that Jay, you paint and are a visual artist. Tell me how are you truly left brain, right brain as brothers? Is it like creative and business? Like obviously you guys hold both.
Yeah, we interchange, but his stronger side might be the left side and mine might be the right side. But so I do art too, but he is all in.
I get that.
I've probably made business more of my art, community is like that more of my art.
100%.
Yeah.
Definitely. For me, being able to create my own platform to expose my art. So my shops have become my art museums. So I get a chance to do a piece and then put it in my shops. And I get a reaction. And I love listening to it because they don't know the artist is in the building. And so I get all these weird things. And some of my art is one-off. So it's only at one of my shops.
Wow.
And I hear them talking about it. I did this one piece with the No Grease logo in the Carolina Place Mall. And it's in 3 pieces. It's about 6 feet. It's in 3 pieces and it's broke up. And it's crooked on the wall. So all 3 pieces are crooked. And then it's presidents. So it's a puzzle of presidents on it. And obviously, you know, who cares? What does No Grease have to do with presidents and all this stuff right there? And so it's me listening, first of all, to the comments of the customers. And then my barbers are trying to explain it. Because they don't even know what the hell it means. They're like, well, I don't know. The owner drew it and he put it up on the wall. And it just has been fun being able to do a business like barbering, which is community-based, and then have art interjected in it for conversation. And they both are art, right? The way we do business it's a tactic of dealing with men, first of all, and then you add color to it, and then you add education, lack thereof, to a business. You have to be very artful about it. You have to be very creative. And so that's where we both interchange at. So we interchange with the actual art of the business, which is the imagery that we show, and then the art of how we do business dealing with people. We have gotten better at it because we started so young, and we made a lot of mistakes, just like any child working on a piece of art. They go outside the lines.
Wow.
And that's how we were in business. We were coloring outside of the lines. We were doing business out of the box. Wow. And, man, it's been all art, man. All art.
That's epic.
Yeah.
So you guys are probably the most consistent customer that I've ever had in my 10, 11 years of business.
You do good work, though. You do the work.
I appreciate it. Y'all really provide the space. I would have to go back and actually check, but it's been months, probably 20 months maybe at this point, that y'all have stayed consistent, putting give or take t-shirt. So you guys dress up you guys are bow ties the uniform during the week, and then on Saturdays you guys dress down and you provide or have the team wearing t-shirts, typically No Grease t-shirts. Tell me about that. Why dress down on Saturday? Why dress up the other 6 days of the week? What's that about? And
So
where'd
it's
that
all
come
culture,
from?
man.
Yeah.
It's not even a dress code. It's a culture. We creating this culture. When we started dressing up, maybe it's been about 12, 15 years.
New Year's. Tell about New Year's.
Oh, so we used to, like any other shop, we didn't have a dress up code. Like any other shop, we just did what we did. Cat might have a wrinkled up t-shirt on. They might have a smock on. And then we started dressing up on New Year's. So we would everybody would wear a shirt and tie on New Year's, and we'd get this amazing response from the clients. And we also, the barbers looked and felt good. They just looked great, man. And it was like, yo, why don't we do this more? Why don't we dress up more and feel good about ourself and our craft, and our clients get this experience? So we started to look at it a little differently. And then when we opened up the Uptown shop, we said we're gonna re-image our whole brand, and we wanted our barbers to feel good about themselves. We wanted them to respect the craft, respect everything barbering, but we also wanted to make sure that the people that we were serving had felt good and they respected the craft too. And when you start to think about our community, you know, sometimes we only see the guy going to the bank dressed up, or only see the preacher dressed up. And we like, yo, dressing up that should be just regular. It should just be wanting to look good and feel good should be regular.
Yeah.
Every day.
Right.
So it was all intentional, very intentional, bro.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. When we started at Uptown, first of all, to get lease, we had to present something to the city of Charlotte.
Yeah.
And Mayor Pro Temp Fox, he the one that had got us in front of the city of Charlotte. And we presented to them in a more exclusive, upscale look. And once again, man, we are in America, man. And so you're talking about predominantly a business that's ran by men of color, and we're trying to service everybody. And to be honest, man, America likes to see rappers on the stage. They don't want to see them in their neighborhood. That's where they want to see a rapper at. That's where they want to see gold teeth and all that stuff. They want to see it on the stage. They don't want to see it behind the chair. And especially not with a razor and some clippers in your hand. And when we started thinking about our clientele, and we have two clienteles. We have our barbers, which are our clientele, and then we have our customers who get service, our clientele. And we started thinking about our clientele of barbers. And we said, man, listen. And my brother, because he's fraternal, when I say he's fraternal, he pledged. So he pledged the fraternity. Yeah. And in that brotherhood, they dress up and this, that, and the other. So he brought that culture to the barbershop because we're something like a fraternity. And part of their thing is they dress up. Like those fraternity brothers know how to dress. Now, they dress down too, but they know how to dress. And the real thing culturally is that black and brown people had lost the sophistication of what dressing is. Like we only knew. And no spin to T-shirts. We only knew T-shirts and jeans. Like in the 80s and 90s, we had got lost in what dressing for a man looks like. And not that that's not a part of who we are. That's why we dress down on Saturdays, because that's a part of us. We're part of the culture. But we should at least exercise more often than not a level of sophistication. And for us in our business, it just helps us guard those guys that we're bringing over. So we're bringing in a lot of guys that were incarcerated. They're coming from different backgrounds, this and the other, and we're putting them in front of, or we're putting them on a stage in front of our audience. So our audience don't know your background, and we don't want them to know your background. Put this bow tie on, put this shirt on, put this slacks on. They'll never know your background. They'll never even assume that you have a background. Because we're kind of guarding you from this until you get to a place where you want to tell your story. Because we do want you to tell that story where you came from, but not on the first day. I don't want them to pick up on it. Yeah, it was a lot of different things. But my brother's experience in college, pledging Alpha, if you want to throw that out there, he's an Alpha.
That's right, 06.
Yeah, and then the bow tie thing is something that he really wore when he dressed up in college. We dressed up when we went to church. And all those things right there. The tie gets in the way, so we put the bow tie on. A little bit more sophistication. Right. But yeah, that's it. That's pretty much that story.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's epic, man. I love it. And man, y'all are deep.
Yeah,
you know
yeah. We painting pictures, man. We painting pictures with everything that we do. And then the T-shirt, the dress down was like, we all love the dress. Put the sneakers on, put the T-shirts on. And the T-shirt became something because we wanted to be still somewhat culturally telling a story. So we took on, and actually, that's a heavy expense that we take on to provide T-shirts, but it's because we want to be in front of the messaging that we're putting out there to our clients and to our barbers. So we're very intentional. We try to get feedback from our barbers, from the clients, because people look forward to those images and those that camaraderie that the T-shirts bring. So we've been having fun with that, and you've been a bit part of that expansion of us having that space and that platform to express art, imagery, and messaging. It's a story that's being told.
100%. And it's been my pleasure, honestly, to be a part of it. And you guys have helped pioneer a lot of the way I see a business should run. Even the way I want to. I'm like, look, I want all Damians and Jays. I don't want any y'all at the bar, because at the end of the day, there's expectation. You guys don't let me get away with murder. Y'all hold me to a high account, which is always appreciated. And you guys are willing to break the mold and flex and see what's possible with it. And the consistency is anything. Like I say, pace over perfection is like what I preach to a lot of our members. I'm like, look, it's about pace. Like if you can look up in 3 years and still be doing this thing, then you'll win. If you can't, then you won't. That's pretty much the bottom line. And the brand, and with any business, like the camaraderie that something as simple as a T-shirt can bring to an organization, to an identity, it's why I still love doing this. It's because I can see the moment a customer sees a memorial T-shirt of their grandmother and they are brought to tears by it, or when you see a group of people doing work and you can tell the difference when they have shirts or when they don't, or the commitment of founders and owners printing shirts every month or every other month for their team, like to just continue to go and push that story over, and not like, the people who are like, hey, I need 500 shirts. Just left chest, logo me. I'll put these in a box, and when I bring somebody on new, they'll come and get it. I'm like, okay, that I don't like that. I like to be on my toes. We like to be dynamic. We like to, because the story could change. We could have something culturally epic could happen tomorrow, and y'all will be able to have the shirts by Saturday.
Yeah.
Hey,
You get what I'm saying?
Remember during COVID, we did the
Mask.
the mask, the mask. So yeah, we like to be a part of whatever's going on at the time.
Exactly.
And you know what's interesting about just even talking about a T-shirt, right? I remember you got to understand, man, every other barber believes they are in fashion. And the first thing most people that believe they're in fashion design is a T-shirt. And I tell them, I said, man, listen, have you ever went down and talked to my guy at Family Matters, and just because he's a lot further, if you want to say fashion, than you are. Now, because you can design it, because I can draw something and say, give it to Samir at Family Matters and put it. I'm not a designer. I'm definitely a visionary, but I couldn't say that I'm a designer. And so every time that I hear one of these, especially my barbers, talk about being a designer, I said, man, listen, at least go visit somebody that actually produces the thing that you think you're designing.
Wow.
Because you didn't put no stitching in the shirt. You ain't designed nothing on that shirt. You just put a image on it. And you didn't even put the image on there. Samir done put the image on there. Man, it's so important to recognize like these different levels of community and business, right? Because when you talk about brands, every brand that has any number of employees or a group, they do have imagery on some type of shirt. And this business that you have, the Family Matter business, has been an intricate part of our business since we've met. So appreciate you.
No, I appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
And I think that was a moment for me. Like I had it to where like I was going to be a fashion, like garments was like my thing. And I'm always like, let me go to the best level. Let me go to the highest level. And when I got into overseas and like really get into the stitching like you were talking about, and like the weight and having to like be a pusher of the trend, like that whole industry to me was like when I was like, nah, I don't love it that much. I was like, I like design, I like storytelling, but I just don't care. Like when they ask you, when I say give me 10 mediums and they say how big is a medium, then I'm a medium. Like how big? Like that's the conversations that I'm like, I don't know how big, I don't care how big, just make it like. So that's all that fashion is at that highest level. You really gotta love it to want to be doing that to that degree. And I don't mind, I hope to discover and work with people who do love it that much, and hopefully I can provide them a platform to get there and some sort of storytelling mechanism that's like safe for their story on a basic tangible level, and then go off and go to the factories and all that stuff. Let's do it. But if there's no outlet, once you get so bottled up, then you eventually combust and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go do this full time, and you may not necessarily have the support or even the desire. My goal always is to get people to a point of, do I want to do this anymore?
Yeah. Because
when you get to that point, like me, anytime I'm feeling icky, I will lay everything out. I'll be like, look, do I even want to do this anymore?
Yeah.
I'll stop for a second. Is this my best outlet to achieve what I want to achieve for the world, for my life? And I continuously pick it back up and say, yes, it is. But it's always being laid out of what is the best thing for me to produce what I want to see in the world. And with these young creatives, it's stressful because they think that in this digital age that everything is at your fingertips and just post about it and everybody will buy it and it's nothing. But why are you doing it? What's the point of doing it? Which brings me to my last question is, where do you see No Grease in 100 years from now?
No Grease definitely would be sitting there in the business that the world has to talk about and say, oh, okay, this is when everything shift. And they were a part of that shift when you could do business as yourself. Something as looked over as a barbershop is now amongst the greatest businesses ever. We sitting there with Apples and the Microsofts and all the big banks and say, you know what, you still got to talk about this No Grease thing that happened hundreds of years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, that's where.
Yeah, man. We want to be the Coca-Cola of it.
Wow.
And we have an opportunity to go to Africa ourselves. And we've seen the world like differently, man. Man, listen, I mean, one No Grease in Africa changes the whole trajectory of how people think about business. Especially, listen, man, I know where I'm from.
Yeah.
If the people that watch me, that dream through me, that never dreamed about leaving Buffalo, and here I am in Charlotte, and never dreamed about opening a business. Here we have multiple businesses, and then we open up in Africa. They be like, wow, I didn't know. It could be just as simple as sticking to one thing that you love long enough to outlie everybody, right? I think 100 years from now, man, it's important that they have those stories, like somewhere in some type of locked up vault, they'll have a story and they say, yo, listen, this is what really happened. They really just kept their head down and was focused, and yeah, they still exist. 100 years later, the brand is still going, and it was just that simple. And I think when we talk about everything, when we talk about T-shirts, when we talk about channels and cable TV and NBA, and who thought that 50, 75 years they'll still be dribbling a basketball or running? Really, they're gonna keep that going, right? They still doing it, and that's what we want No Grease to be in 100 years. They like, yo, yeah, they still exist. Yeah, it's still here. It's still. It may not be 1,000 of them. It may be 10,000 of them, but they'll be like, yo, they're still here. Oh, y'all didn't know? They were 100 years ago. Yeah, they started it. What we want, man.
That's fire.
Yeah.
I see it 100%, and I speak that 1,000, 10,000 because, like you said, just keep your head down and doing the work.
Yeah.
And consistently chasing that duplication, consistently chasing that greatness, and then on top of it, like building something, like putting something good into the world. It's real easy to make money in this day and age with no integrity.
Yeah.
If I didn't have integrity, I'd be, my budget would be crazy. You get what I'm saying? So I just commend y'all for not just having integrity for yourselves, but creating a world that promotes the values that you guys see for others, and giving them the space to open their own barber school. And then just, man, the output is crazy, and your guys' contribution, again, cannot be understated enough for what you guys have done for Charlotte, what you guys will continue to do for the world. I do believe that y'all will be a staple business, the Coca-Cola of barbershops. And just, again, I'm honored to have had this platform, to have been able to have you guys as members and be a part of the family. So I appreciate it, and thank you both.
Man, and family matters.
Yes.
It does matter, man.
And we can end it on that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. That's
Thank
what's
you,
up.
man. Yeah,
Yes, sir. Man, that's dope, bro.
that's
Ooh,
really
that
dope.
shit is gonna do